Picture yourself in a boat on a river. No, that's not it. Submitted for your approval. Another review of a 50th anniversary edition of the Beatles. There's a signpost up ahead. You just crossed over Abbey Road. Hello, Abbey Road fans and fans of the Beatles in general. It's been a week since the release of the anniversary edition new mix of Abbey Road was released on September 27th, 2019. I don't normally do reviews on the audio quality of Beatles product. My channel is dedicated more to a virtual display of the products that are available, my collection that I have. I'm not an audiophile. I do not have an audiophile setup, so I want to make that clear right off the bat. However, I do listen to this music quite a bit and in quite a few different ways. In preparation of the 2019 remix of Abbey Road, I did go back and listen to some of the previous versions I have, starting with a original LP copy, which sounds terrible. It's pretty beat up. It's scratched. There's pops and hisses and skips all over the thing. So that's not really a great baseline for listening to the remix against. So I did listen to the digital versions I have, starting with the Black Triangle version, the first version of Abbey Road that came out in CD in the early 80s in Japan. I also listened to the 1987 remaster. This is an early pressing from Capitol Jacks before the Apple logo was even put on there. And then I also listened to the 2009 digital remaster. So I've been listening to this thing like crazy before and since it's come out. I've been listening to the remix all week in various ways, and I've done a little photo and video diary of that, which I will play now. I've listened to the LP on my Pioneer system. I've listened to the CD. I've listened on Amazon Music. I've listened on iTunes, over-the-ear headphones, car stereo systems, and earbuds. Oh my! So at this time, I thought I would do a little review, go through it, tell you what I think of the remix. So the album starts out with Come Together, of course, and this first track is so clear. You can actually hear John's fingers on the fretboard of his guitar. The bass and drum sounds much fuller. You really sound like you're in the room with the Beatles, which I think is really the intention of these remixes, to really kind of place you in the studio with the Beatles. And I think Come Together does that. This is not a radical mix. You're not hearing things that are added. There's no additions anywhere on the album of things that weren't previously there. However, it's just really giving a better overall breadth, fullness, separation. It's very intimate, in your face kind of sound that kicks off right with Come Together. Something, again, more bass, more breadth, more clarity to it. Maxwell Silver Hammer, I noticed a real clarity of some of the Moog parts underneath that I hadn't previously heard in other versions. Oh Darling, vocals right up front, very clear. I Want You, She's So Heavy, there are some like accent chords on organ, I think by Billy Preston, and again, there's something I hadn't heard before. It's there. Everything's in the mix. Anytime I heard something that I thought was new, I would go back and listen to some of the other versions, and it was there. It just wasn't as clear, it wasn't as present as it is in this new mix. So that's something I've really been enjoying, is hearing these parts in a different way. Now, I know I'm skipping some of the songs. I'm not going to go track by track, but I'm just picking out things, little bits and pieces that I remember from certain songs. Here Comes the Sun is my favorite on the album. This has George vocal centered, whereas the original mix has the guitar coming out of the left, finally kind of fading over to the right with George's vocal in the right. And this mix with George in the center just sounds so good. It's if any song on the album is a go-to version, Here Comes the Sun for me is the one. It just sounds really good on this mix, and it's the one I've probably been enjoying most. By a slight margin, I would say. I'm enjoying most of them. Sun King also. Wow. Sun King, first of all, the transition from You Never Give Me Your Money, there are just sounds in there that are so much clearer. Again, they're in the original mix, but you just don't hear them that way. And there were certain things that I've never really picked up on that hearing this new mix, I listened to and said, that's interesting that sounds on there. I hadn't heard that before. So that was really a treat in this new mix. Another thing I noticed in Sun King, and the first time I listened to it, I thought it was an additional sound that was restored from a track that had been previously cut. There is an organ burst after John sings, everybody's laughing, everybody's happy, then there's a burst of organ. It's in the original mix, but I just never really heard it the way I did on the remix. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's something really interesting. That sounds like something that was added from a restored track. But lo and behold, it is on the original, just as everything is. I don't think there's anything added from tracks that were cut. It is just the way they are mixed, and the placement really brings a whole new listening experience. Golden Slumbers, the bass is so clear and powerful on that song. The end, Ringo's drum solo. The thing about this is Ringo's bass drum. Whenever you hear Ringo's bass drum, it's really, there is a presence. It really is as if Ringo is in the room pounding on that bass drum when you're listening to this. So that was really something that I experienced listening to this, that I felt that the drums, especially the bass drum, were really accented in this, and just a very, very powerful experience. Again, there's a lot of breath to this. The sound is not compressed, the sound is not squashed, there's not a lot of noise reduction, if any, on this. There is some tape hiss, but because they left that alone, it just has this breath about it that it really makes it sound wonderful. I haven't looked at any reviews or listened to these videos. I will now that this video is on YouTube. I'll go back and start looking at them, because I am curious at what others have to say. But I didn't want to be biased in any way from watching other people's actual reviews of the audio. I will also point out that I'm focused really on the stereo mix. I've not had the opportunity to listen to the 5.1 or the Dolby Atmos. Going back to the end, another highlight of this is that the guitars are separated, whereas the original mix had all three guitars in the middle, the George, John, Paul dual, if you will, or trio. Truel? The separation on this is beautiful. Left, middle, right, three guitars. You distinctly hear them, and it really is a very, very good move that was done like that. It really makes that song pop in that spot. So that was a really cool move that they did. So that's the standard album. That's just a few of the things I noticed. Overall, I'd say the mix sounds really good. Again, breadth, fullness, separation, very intimate, very in your face. That's how overall I would describe this mix. Let's talk about the extras that you get with the Super Deluxe box set and the 3 LP version. There are a number of outtakes. But first, let's look at the 2 CD set. The 2 CD set has many of the outtakes available. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, but it basically is the album running order, so you get an alternate take of the album, which I think is a brilliant way to hear it. I'm going to flip the camera around for a moment and show you my iTunes playlist of the songs that are left once you take away the ones that were included with the 2 CD set. There's not that many, but you do get the long one, which includes lots of tracks. Let's take a look. So in addition to an alternate version of each track from the album proper, there are these extra tracks that are only available on the Super Deluxe or 3 LP box. There is Goodbye, which is a demo of a Paul McCartney song. The Ballad of John and Yoko, Take 7, which is an excellent track of just Paul and John going through the Ballad of John and Yoko. Gotta check that out. Old Brown Shoe, Take 2, Come and Get It, demo. I believe that's the same as the one on Anthology, but I could be wrong about that. This is the long one. It includes everything from You Never Give Me Your Money through to the end, and Her Majesty is actually placed in its original running order, which is really interesting, and that's a 16-minute track. You get Something, a take 39, just the instrumental, and then Golden Slumbers Carry That Weight. So basically you're getting an extra track, a second alternate track for most of the songs on the album with the Super Deluxe Edition. I hope that if you've picked this up, you're enjoying it, or that this helped you to decide to pick it up if you have not yet done so. I do want to point out something that Giles Martin said that I think is impactful. He had mentioned that whether you like the new mix or not, it's causing people to listen to this music, to really listen to it, not to just have it on in the background. Whether or not you love the original mix or you love this new remix or you're still making up your mind, you're really listening to it. You're spending the time watching videos like this one because you care about an album that's 50 years old, and that's pretty damn amazing. Thanks, Giles Martin and Sam O'Kell. I also wanted to take a moment to discuss the book that came with the Super Deluxe Edition. This book is really phenomenal. I've had a chance to read through some of it, not all of it, but even just looking through it, the photos in this book, most of them taken by Linda McCartney, just as I stated that the music has this intimate quality about them, these photos are so intimate, and these photos are really good, candid shots, very unstaged. So it's very, very interesting to see them, and there's some really great stuff in here. I mean, look at this picture of George in here. Let's see what else we got here. Look at this photo of John. I mean, you could see the texture of his shirt and his guitar strap, and you know, John's just kind of chilling, hanging out in the studio, and that's a great shot where he obviously felt comfortable and just went about doing what he was doing while Linda was shooting these photos. So good job by her. Another cool shot of George. Great shot of Ringo. Look at these guys. They don't look like three guys who are at each other's throats. The Threedles. Cool shot of Paul. Excellent photographs in here. This book alone makes the Super Deluxe version worth getting. There's really some excellent material in here. I'm going to enjoy going through it. So I'm going to cut things here. Like I said, I will go back and watch a lot of videos on YouTube of reviews. If you're here watching this, you probably are either contemplating getting this or you already have it and love it and want to see what other people think. Or maybe you hate it and want to see what other people think. That's up to you. So I would really appreciate if you leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with some of the comments I made? Do you disagree? Were there things on the new mix that you heard that were particularly pleasant to you? I'd love to hear about it. Thank you, good night, and keep enjoying Abbey Road.